This week is a wild week when it comes to pop culture. First of all, if you're watching this on the day that this video comes out, it is the day of the Super Bowl. So in other words, I hope all of you are getting your hands on some wings, maybe your favorite appetizer, sitting down and watching the game with some friends, those you love, whoever you normally watch the game with. But on top of that, some other things that happened this week is, first of all, I don't know how it's possible, but Beyonce won Country Album of the Year. To me, that's like a cat somehow winning a dog show. Now, the only thing more disappointing than that was the PlayStation Network outage that went from Friday afternoon all the way into Saturday afternoon, working out to be around 24 hours long. Now, this is the second longest PlayStation Network outage that has ever happened, with the first taking place in 2011. Put your hand up if you remember this one, but this one lasted 24 days total and was mocked up to be some sort of external intrusion or a data breach. Now, at this point, we don't exactly know what happened this weekend, but one thing we do know is that Krispy Kreme was on top of things, because just before things started to go back online, they let everyone know that if you were bored, you could go check out and get a glazed donut between 5 and 7 p.m. because sweet rewards don't need a server. And that personally is the best form of glazing I have ever heard. And then we had a ton of movie reveals happen this week as well. First off, we have Jurassic World Rebirth, which honestly, after watching that trailer, really makes me not want there to be another Jurassic Park movie. Then we had Fantastic Four. Now, this one's interesting with everything currently going on in Marvel Rivals, the events going on there, but more specifically, Pedro Pascal is one of the main actors in it, who is one of my favorite actors of all time. And it lends to the question, which Marvel universe this movie is actually taking place and how it's going to fit into the overall story. And then we have a new movie called Expedition 33, which is based off of the newly revealed Xbox game, which is yet to come out. And this is a strange one because it's a brand new IP, yet they're already announcing a movie for it before they even know whether or not the game is going to be successful or not. The game looks good, but who knows? Also this week, there was a shooting in Indy, which apparently happened in a house over an argument over a Call of Duty match. And as the news reporter said, it's not worth getting shot, getting hurt, or just getting beat up over as something as silly as a video game. So sometimes it's just as good time to leave. And yes, please don't get in a fight over video games. But speaking of video games, that is what this show is all about. It's brand new on the channel. You guys seem to really be enjoying it. And if you are, hit that like button. Without further ado, this is the Weekly Reload. This is the show where we dive into news regarding everything video games with a little bit of a focus on first-person shooters. And one big first-person shooter that happened this week is the new Battlefield. We got our very first look at the game, which is yet to get a release date. We'll talk about that in a second. But on top of seeing our first gameplay, we get to see some buildings falling down, but people are still skeptical because of the previous Battlefield game. 2042, when it released, was, well, let's just say not in very good shape. And even though over the following years, they did improve the game and some players returned, the launch of the game left a sour taste in people's mouths. So what did they do? They invented something by the name of Battlefield Labs. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't fully know how this is going to work, but I filled out the paperwork for it and it asked you whether or not you were in a close radius with any of their studios, because they want their players to play test their games, which honestly is a good idea because the more people you get to QA test your game, the better it's going to be at launch. Now, studios are afraid to do this. Why, you may ask? Well, sometimes when a lot of the game is revealed before the launch, that hype, that marketing surrounding that game is not as much there. So you're either choosing to release a buggy game with a huge marketing hype or release a complete game that people have already seen. It's a hard thing to define, but Battlefield is doing that. Now, speaking of the launch of this Battlefield game, they basically said in an interview that they are waiting to see when other games are coming out so they can define their own launch window. In other words, they're waiting to see what GTA 6 does. And oddly enough, everyone is waiting to see what GTA 6 does, because at this time of year, it's when we get the earnings reports for basically Q4 or the last quarter of 2024. And Take-Two had one of these investor calls the other day. In this investor call, not much was said about GTA 6, but the one thing that was said is that number one, they are still planning on launching the game in fall of 2025, just like was previously stated. So at this point, the game is not delayed. The exact quote that was given is, "We've announced a pretty narrow window, so I think our view is that right now, that's fine." The Take-Two CEO said this to Variety. And when it's appropriate, of course, Rockstar is going to have more to say. In other words, we are not getting that trailer 2 that's anyone's been looking for anytime soon. Well, some people are thinking we're going to get it during the Super Bowl today, and if we do, you probably see a million videos go up online. And other people are saying that they may be waiting till May, because as of right now, Take-Two has a bunch of things coming very, very soon. They have a PC Ultimate version of GTA 5 that still needs to be released, as well as Mafia: The Old Country, another one of these kind of like open world crime games that should be released this summer before GTA 6. And they don't want to mess up their marketing between all of their games. So still a lot to happen. Now, I don't know whether you want to call this the tinfoil hat segment or whether you call this the genius moment of the week, but we just briefly have to talk about this marketing from Rockstar and Take-Two. Because at this point, by not revealing the release date and not putting out any information as to when we're going to get a trailer or anything like that, it is just building to this massive, massive thing. Already, with the launch of the first trailer, it broke records for the most amount of views in 24 hours on YouTube, most amount of views for trailer, most amount of likes, everything along those lines. And now, without revealing anything, they are controlling the entirety of gaming. They are having AAA studios like EA, Call of Duty, and many, many more not know when to release their game because we don't know what it is competing against or when. And this is wild to see. It's completely unprecedented, but if you actually go in and look at what is getting released around that like September, October, November period of time, there is basically nothing. And it's because every studio doesn't know what to do. So in other words, by not doing anything, Rockstar and Take-Two are controlling the entire gaming market for pretty much a whole year. Speaking of those marketing calls, another one that we had this week was Microsoft's marketing call. And overall, with them buying Activision, you would think they would see a big success year over year. Basically, every game studio wants to make 10% more every single year. But Xbox Gaming's division actually made 7% less than last year. And I think there's a pretty good reason for it. A lot of people are blaming the downfall of Call of Duty. I don't think that's the case. You see, this year, Xbox made a very big change. That very big change is they got rid of essentially first-party releases. No longer were they releasing Xbox exclusives only on Xbox. They are releasing them on everything and trying to up their day one releases on Xbox Game Pass. They've been doing this throughout the year in a pretty messy way. As it turns out, it actually kind of worked because yes, the overall gaming sales were down 7%, their hardware sales were down nearly 30%, but their PC Game Pass subscriptions were up 30%, and overall content and service revenues, in other words, microtransactions and service revenues, were up 2%. So overall, for what they're aiming for, it's working. However, that hardware sales just keeps going down and down. Why are people going to buy your hardware like an Xbox if they can buy a PlayStation and get all of your games as well as the PlayStation exclusive? That is the thing that Xbox is struggling with, and where it goes moving forward, no one really knows. Now, moving into Call of Duty, this week we got the Terminator event. I made a video yesterday going over the fastest way to earn skulls to complete that event. If you want to check it out, it'll be linked down below. As far as this event goes, it is very similar to what we saw with RG's Festive Frenzy back in December. It's really nothing new. It's you play the game, you unlock some stuff, nothing too exciting. However, one leak that came out this week is that apparently throughout the rest of Black Ops 6 lifecycle, we are going to be getting 3 more zombies maps. So seemingly coming at the beginning of every single season, we are going to be getting a new zombies map. However, based off of the dates and times, it would appear as though we are getting 4 more seasons to have 6 total but it says only 3 more zombies maps. So I'm curious at this point whether we're going to be getting 5 or 6 seasons by the end of Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Speaking of the end of something, we got the end of the blue screen of death that Season 2 caused. That was one thing that was fixed this week. On top of that, things that haven't quite ended. If you've been a fan of YouTube and gaming culture for a while, a group of people you may be familiar with are Rooster Teeth. Well, a while back, a lot of things happened to Rooster Teeth, and they got completely shut down. But recently, their previous owner, by the name of Bernie Burns, bought back the company. And as of right now, it's kind of unclear where they're going moving forward. A lot of fans are really hoping for fan favorites like Red vs. Blue, or even their podcast to make a return. But if you were a fan of Halo or first-person shooters, Rooster Teeth, Achievement Hunter were kind of a staple on YouTube for many years. Now, speaking of first-person shooter announcements, the Killing Floor 3 finally got a release date of March 25th, with a closed beta happening this month. I know a lot of people were surprised about that game getting announced, and it turns out it's coming out pretty soon. Speaking of surprises, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater actually got leaked. This game got leaked on the PlayStation Store, and it turns out it has a release date of August 28th. So coming at the end of the summer, potentially right around when GTA 6 will be coming. Now, something that I forgot to mention last week is Multiverses. Multiverses got the boot. Now, this was surprising because this was a game that had a massive launch. However, the momentum with this game was completely halted when they took the game offline for a whole year while they completed and reworked the progression system within the game. Now, you'd think that would be a good thing for the game. However, what ended up happening is all the momentum that this game had built with this surprising launch was completely gone. And when the game came back, not enough people were playing it. And with the fall of Suicide Squad and now the failing of Multiverses, Warner Brothers is up creek without a paddle and are losing time and time again. The one thing that they have in their back pocket is Harry Potter. Everyone is guessing that the next Hogwarts Legacy game is going to be a live service game that they have been trying so hard for with Suicide Squad and Multiverses and completely failing. And now we are waiting to hear what they're doing with Hogwarts. Now, in games that came out this week, we have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This is a game that I actually played on stream and actually uploaded a video over on Ink TV.
Let's hope this water isn't too cold. You wouldn't want your pride and joy shrinking.
You see, he's weird. The dog. Mutt. He just punched my dog. He just punched my dog. Yeah, not happening, bucko. Oh. We are not having a good day. Needless to say, this game is really good. It currently has an 89 on Metacritic, and the way I would describe this one is at times it feels as though you are watching or even playing a medieval TV show, and at other times it almost feels as though you are playing a medieval RPG real-life simulator with a story that has been written out for you. It is an incredibly in-depth and sometimes a little bit too slow of a game. This may put some people out, but if you're in the market for a game that is going to take you quite literally hundreds of hours to play, this is definitely a game you're gonna want to give a chance because, like I said, it's really good. Great story, and on top of that, really great gameplay with in-depth leveling systems. One of my favorite games of all time was Oblivion. This one fits in there really well. So if you like these type of RPG games, you definitely want to check this one out. You're just going to need a lot of time to do so. Now, as far as what is coming this week in Call of Duty, we should be having the Shadow Hunt event come out this week, and then probably, not for sure, but probably having Season 2 Reloaded either the week after that or the week after that, coming sometime in February nonetheless. As far as in video game releases, really not much coming out this week, as I think a lot of games want to stay away from the release of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but there is Civilization 7 if you didn't pay the astronomical fees that were involved with getting that game early. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the weekly reload. You guys seem to really be enjoying these type of videos, so as long as you guys keep watching, keep hitting that like button, we will keep these coming every single Sunday. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this to us.